I'm recording it now. But thank you for y'all agreeing to do the interview, first of all. But the first thing I want to touch on is last year when both of you won the elections, both of you set some goals, or goals, I don't know if they were jointly, I wasn't there in the room. But I just want to go down and see how some of these goals are doing. One of the first ones that was mentioned is the Barney broadcast, which, how is that going in terms of, even if it's not the Barney broadcast, disseminating information to the campus community?
Yeah, so Barney broadcast, at this point, it's still an idea. We definitely want to accomplish that goal. But we have been able to get students information about resources on campus and the different clubs that they can join, because ASMHCC hosts a resource fair as well as a clubs fair every term. So those are ways where we're letting students know about the different resources on campus, the different clubs and groups that they could join.
Another thing that we also kind of do is we have our members do class wraps, which is basically where they would go to their classes and kind of ask their instructor for permission to kind of announce some of the upcoming events that we have or any information that students should know. We have our team do it for those who have both in-person as well as online classes, and so that's another way we kind of spew out information. I think that's, well, besides the emails that obviously Dr. sends out to all the students, we try and do our best to kind of give students information about any upcoming events or any resources that are available on campus.
Yeah, and I can add to that, part of our job on the team is to put up posters. So if there's any events that Student Life is hosting, then our team is the one that goes out and puts up posters, and we keep things up to date, and then another pretty special thing about this year is we've connected with our sister campuses, Maywood and Bruning, and we're able to visit them last term and let them know about what's going on at the main campus, and also put up posters there for events. And so we're aiming to do that this term and next term as well, keep that up, keep that connection, going.
Yeah. And another goal that was set is collaboration with adult basic skills and transitions and transiciones. And part of that was co-hosting seminars to help the community with intake for GED and ESL classes. Bless you. So how's that collaboration going? Is that something that's ongoing, or what does that collaboration look like between ASMHCC and those programs?
Yeah, so I met with Jenny at the start of the term, and so she had suggested that I set up meetings with the faculty over at the Adult Basic Skills, and so at this point we're preparing for the intake process, which happens before spring term. So it'll be in March. So at this point, it's in the preparation stages, and what we're wanting to do, my vision, is basically to support what's already happening. So Adult Basic Skills, from what I know, they have an intake process before the start of the term, before the start of every term, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want is for the team to help support them with merch bags, goodie bags.
Yeah.
Things that they can take away, a backpack with a school supply kit, that sort of thing. Maybe also we could provide refreshments through the funding that we have. And another thing which Emily's pretty good at is doing campus tours. I feel like that'd be really neat for those prospective students who are wanting to learn English as their second language. So yeah, at this point, it's still ongoing.
And I think another, I guess, like hot button topic on campus is food on campus, which has been a challenge
Yeah.
and as talked about last year, and I'm sure it's still an issue this year.
Right.
So what are some of the challenges in getting food on campus? Because I know there's stuff with contracts and things like that. So what are some of the challenges that both of you have seen with bringing food on campus, and can ASMHC do what can they do, if anything, to facilitate bringing food on campus?
Yeah, so at this point, it's been, 15 weeks into the school year, and Vista
Yeah.
Dining's not open, and from what we know, it's not going to open at any point in winter term, and we're not sure about spring term. It's, from what I understand, it's out of our hands. As you had mentioned, there's contracts with, I don't know if it's a business or a restaurant, but Riverview is
Yeah,
the
Riverview.
name that we know. So until they can get staff, Vista Dining is going to be closed. So what we've been doing as a team is boosting support for Barney's Pantry. So when Emily and I were involved with student government last year, we didn't have a coordinator. And so there was a lot of burden on the team and then as well as staff. But we're fortunate because this year we do have a coordinator, and the coordinator's name is Steve Herf.
Mm-hmm.
And so since he's come in, we've gotten a lot of tons, literal tons of food to campus, to give out to students in need. Every week he goes either by himself or with another student to the Oregon Food Bank, and he brings back food. And so that's one way we're addressing that. And then every term we have our food drive. Our food drive's supposed to kick off.
It's going to kick off next week.
Yeah.
And in addition to what Javi said with Steve, he also brings food boxes to the students over at Maywood. And we're thankful for that because I think Maywood has a food pantry there. And we're it's so I'm so glad that we have him, because without it we wouldn't have been able to still build a connection with our sister campuses and be able to support the students.
Yeah, and he's really great in the role because he knows about food sovereignty. So we've had conversations with him about the possibility of bringing food onto campus in the form of food trucks, and so we've gotten his advice on that. And then another really big thing is we have a community garden that we had gotten the space prepared last academic school year, and then over the summer the beds were put up, and then we did our first planting, I want to say last year.
Yeah.
We put garlic in.
We put garlic in.
Yeah, and so we have that in the dirt for winter. It's really cold right now to do anything. So we're going to really get into gardening when the weather gets nice, like in March. So that's another way that we're addressing food insecurity.
I want to piggyback off of the community garden. So right now is that you planted garlic last year, spring term, I'm assuming?
Last year, meaning November.
November?
So fall term.
So how does managing this community garden work? How does the maintenance and upkeep work? Because the garden, living things, got to take care of them.
Yeah, so our plan for spring term is the team, Steve, and any student volunteers can go in for what's called a planting day, where we put things in the dirt. But in terms of maintenance, we had gotten advice from Dr., who's the director of student life, about reaching out to departments, seeing if they can adopt a bed, and make sure that it's maintained over time.
Have you begun to reach out to any of these departments yet, or is that still a work in progress?
I believe yes. from what I remember, I believe the Board of Education has already chosen to adopt a bed,
Yes.
as well as I think we'll also have some clubs do it as well, where they can adopt a bed to kind of like showcase not only their club but also help out.
And then I was approached by a faculty member in the science department about the garden. And so it sounds like there's a lot of people on campus who want to get their hands in the dirt and who want to help with bringing those veggies and fruits to students on campus, hopefully by summertime. Like, if we start planting in the months of like March, April, we're thinking the harvest would be sometime in the summer, maybe close to fall term.
Yeah, and I guess, and just to clarify, the community garden is that fenced off area right by fisheries?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I just wanted to make sure that I had the correct place in mind. And then one of the last goals that we set, that y'all set in the interview last year, is putting on more events and just livening up campus as a whole. And as you can see, you had the welcome back. I'm seeing new posters for a event coming in the coming weeks. How would you say the events are going this year, and what are you doing to make an improvement from last year?
I would say from this year, we have seen a large number of students come by. For example, our Halloween event that we had last year, we had, I guess, like over 800 people come by, which was a huge number compared to last year. And some of our events that we posted, we've had roughly, would you say like maybe 50 to 100 students come by for some of our events. But seeing that campus is fully back open, we want to make sure that not only are the students having fun, but also just being there to support them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so for student government, we have two teams. Emily and I are part of the executive council along with some representatives and coordinators. And then we also have the student activities board. And so, like Emily mentioned, we had a Halloween event. Last year we called it Barney's Boo Bash. And so the student activities team got together, they organized the event, and then the entire team, along with volunteers, made sure that event was successful, like to host all those hundreds and hundreds of like students and community members. So that was pretty special. And then here, like on February 14th, Valentine's Day,
We're having our event, which was originally known as the Love Yourself, but this year, as you can probably tell, it's known as the Heartbeat Retreat. And we're just going to be having fun. We want to build that connection with students, but also kind of just show them what we as student government have done.
Yeah, and some things to expect for that event. We'll have sweet treats like smoothies, so strawberry banana smoothies, as well as cupcakes. We're going to be giving out roses.
And tumblers for the first 70 students who come by, as well as we're going to be having students participate in a fun game called Red Flag, Green Flag, which the premise is you're given a scenario and you have to identify whether it is a green flag or if it is a red flag.
That sounds fun. And between these events, what are we doing to, I guess, like, what is ASMHCC doing to ensure that the campus is still a welcoming place between those events? Because, I don't know, personally, I felt it's kind of a bit dreary, a bit unwelcoming with this giant concrete monolith surrounding me all the time. But what is ASMHC trying to do their best at, or doing to making sure our campus community is welcoming and, yeah.
I guess one thing is, like, in the student union we have the Barney Pantry grab and go, so just making sure that that's constantly stocked. And then I had a thought about using like the student union space for music students to like showcase any songs that they're wanting to perform. I think that'd be a really cool way to like liven up the space and just continue to host events or support events going on with the MDRC. or transitions, transiciones, because it's really special when we have those days where events are going on. You know, it makes the space liven up. More often than not, we have like hot food come in, so that's a really good way to attract the crowd and make sure that students are fed, at least for the day. But yeah, we're aware, like, one of the biggest struggles is food security. So we're doing our best to support, like I said, Barney's Pantry, and it's possible that in spring term we could get like hot meals to campus, whether it be food trucks, or maybe we could find a way to get hot meals like another way, or like box lunches, something, because it's definitely like at the forefront.
Yeah.
I think.
Moving on from those goals last year, I want to move into some current issues that I have experienced and a lot of other students have experienced as too. And the first one is amenities on campus. I mean, the Advocate itself, we've received complaints about the issue of lack of drinking water, especially on the north side of campus, which is where all like the allied health, all that is there. Now, since all the water fountains are turned off for the winter, and they are often turned off all the way until May when there isn't any freezing temperatures, is there anything ASMHCC can do to ensure that there's drinking water, especially on the north side of campus where it can be a bit of a walk over to the next available drinking fountain that's indoors and turned on?
You know, that's interesting that you brought that up, because I had a strategy. So I did research, and like, it's very possible to get like a stand-alone water station with water jugs, like wherever it's needed on campus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've done the research, and it costs like a certain amount of money. So ideally, we would want like representatives from like Allied Health, or maybe also the music department doesn't have drinkable water like accessible. So it would be good if like representatives from those departments came and asked for like a funding request, and we have the funds to do something like that. Because that's an issue that was brought up to me before winter term.
Yeah. I guess so then, what would it, so for people to get it's not something that ASMHC could do itself, providing these, could you submit a funding request to yourself and just provide these water coolers throughout campus, or would it have to be each department, or?
Well, that's just a strategy that I like brainstormed. I could ask our advisor, or maybe the director of student life, to see if that's possible. I've also made it a point to meet with Charles, who's like the head honcho for facilities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, is he the dean or
I think he just
vice president?
Yeah, he's like the vice president.
Yeah. So I met with Charles, and he has a map of water stations, the refillable ones that are open, when the ones that are shut off outside like are not functioning. So until like those things could be like ordered and put in place, the other strategy is to have those maps up so students know where to go.
Are there plans to put those maps up, or whose responsibility would it be for posting those maps of where to get drinking water?
Yeah, I would have to follow up with Charles and then connect with Rosina and Doctor. But I do know that Charles had sent out those maps last term.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if those maps got like forwarded to students, or if he had just sent it to faculty. I'll have to follow up with him, but I'll definitely do that.
I might be mistaken, but I don't think I remember seeing that in my student email.
Okay.
And then one of the, I think, major things that is important, especially in a governing body, is transparency. And some like things that have like been brought up, and that I think I also have kind of taken like a little bit of an issue with, is like currently that ASMHCC meeting minutes aren't provided online, which can be a barrier to people getting these minutes because it's a bit of if it's a lot of friction to get meeting minutes. You have to be here when someone is here, and you also have to be on campus. And as ASMHCC, you're representing everyone, online students, Bruning and Maywood. Is there any plans to make these meeting minutes more available online through the SharePoint site on the main website or anything like that? Or is that something that's kind of not been?
So I am aware, we're both aware that some of the information is like outdated.
Yeah.
At this point, we, like the Office of Student Life, doesn't have control of editing the website, like, you know, here and now. We have to put in requests with IT, but sometimes IT's got a lot of tickets, and so the order that we have doesn't go in. So until we can get access to that, it's going to be outdated, unfortunately. But we were both told that like the website's being updated soon.
Sometime, I think, from what I was told, it was going to be sometime either this month or next month. Because of the snowy weather that we had, it was delayed a bit. It was originally set to be released this month.
Yeah.
So I guess it's pretty much just wait and see what'll happen.
Fingers crossed for a better website.
Because from what I was told with the website, people who have like access to certain pages can edit it right on the spot. If there's any like outdated information, they can edit it right away. So fingers crossed, hopefully the new website comes out either this month or next month. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Yeah, so I mean, overall it's kind of out of our hands, but thankfully the work's been done. The IT department actually came to student government last term and told us about the updates that were happening, and also like Emily had mentioned, giving departments access to the content, you know, on their page for the MHCC website. So that's pretty exciting. That's gonna happen.
And
soon.
also another thing that we're kind of excited for is that we now have a cork board out there. And with that, we kind of had this idea of putting the minutes from our meetings from either ASMHCC or like any of the other meetings, and just have it out there for students so that way they can grab one if they would like and kind of see what's been going on here on campus.
Yeah. And then another thing is meetings can only be currently attended in person, or at least the last meeting I went to. Is there any, I guess, again, this is a barrier of access for people on other campuses, people that aren't able to leave their home, etc. Is there any plans to make that more able to do it virtually, or is that not?
I think it's possible.
Yeah, like with some of the...
We've done like Zoom meetings, and we've done like recordings before, so I think it's possible. It depends. It's dependent upon when we can get access to the content for the website. Do you know what I mean? So until that happens, then that's something we could do for like every meeting, because it could be a live stream situation, and then after the live stream's over, it could just stay posted on the website. So it's just like a matter of time. We have the equipment, and we've done video calls before, so we can definitely do that.
Bye-bye.
And yeah.
You have a phone charger?
And we already discussed that. Moving on to the student fee increases. First, what was the motivation behind wanting to increase the student fee?
So it was brought to our attention that a lot of areas on campus are struggling with funding, and so we wanted to make sure that for next year's group of students they wouldn't struggle. So we thought it was time to increase the student fee. It hasn't been increased in over 5 years, and the biggest reason why is because that was the era of the pandemic, right? COVID-19 was from like 2019. It's still lingering, it's still ongoing, but it's not as bad as it was in the beginning. We're no longer having to wear masks. It's not like a mandate, and So it's been time, right?
Yeah.
And at this point, it's 2024, and there's a lot of student engagement. We've seen enrollment increase by almost up to 10%, which is really big. So we're just preparing for next year.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that all the students are able to enjoy student life, like in all sectors.
What are some of the areas that are currently lacking funding that the student fee increase would help fund?
So definitely over in athletics. I remember last school year, I had talked to Kim, and she was saying that they were struggling with their budget, and if there was anything that I could do on my part, and so that's something we've taken into consideration, is supporting athletics for sure.
I would say another thing too is supporting all of the co-curriculars with all of their activities, from the Advocate to Venture Magazine, just trying to do what we can to support them to be successful, because I know you all have been affected by it, and we want to try and do what we can to help you all be successful in what you do.
And then the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things that the student activity fee affects is Barney's Pantry itself. And so if we're able to increase funding and give more to Barney's Pantry, that means we can give more food for students on campus.
And then another thing that I see is with the survey that was sent out, do you think the survey was fair in that it didn't allow people to say they didn't want a student fee increase, because there was only options to increase the student fee, and a lot of the comments were saying that they don't agree to a student fee increase, and they don't believe that they've been transparent enough in what the money's gone to. So were you behind the survey, or let's start with that. Was the ASMHCC behind the survey that was sent out about the student fee increase?
Yeah, so we had the idea of doing the survey last term, and Doctor was in communication with Tim, who's a survey analyst, I think the lead survey analyst on campus. And the idea is we wanted to gauge students, first of all, their knowledge about the student activity fee, and then also what they would suggest to increase. We didn't want to have the zero option because we figured the majority of students would just select zero, but that would defeat the purpose of our recommendation, which is to increase the fee so your money goes around to every sector of campus. But yeah, it's just we did include the option of comments. So we saw some students say that they would rather not have the student fee increase, but we had a good number of students say we support it because your reasons are good.
Yeah, of course. Those comments were there as well. I just wanted to see what was the response to people that said they didn't want an increase. And this also brings me to the representation of other campuses, which I know you've been working on, both of you. And these campuses, they pay the same amount of student fee and same tuition. What are we doing to ensure they have the same amount of services as the main academic campus here? Because while they do have access to this campus, it's out of the way for them, and especially in terms of the Maywood campus, it's really far away. What are we doing to ensure that their student fee money and their tuition money is still going towards supporting them in their campuses?
Well, currently, because we have a coordinator for Barney's Pantry, they're receiving support in that realm, right? But we as a team, we do want to connect with those campuses and see if we can host events at those sites. And so we're in the brainstorming phase, and we want to accomplish that by spring term and have that be something that's ongoing for next year's team and the team after that. So we want to make those things a reality and then document those things along the way. That way, every team has that playbook and they could add on to it year by year make that like a new tradition. Because, like I said, like we rounded that corner of the pandemic, and it seems like people want to, interact more face to face, and now it's a pretty special moment because we're building those bridges with those campuses when we haven't been, interacting for years now, for like 5 years. So it's pretty special.
Yeah, and something else that we also do is like whenever we go to these campus and visit, we take some of our posters for not only our events but also resources, and we just put it up over at the campuses so that they can see like some of the resources that the main campus offers, but also know about the different opportunities as well. When we did our very first campus visit last year, Rosaba Fuentes, who is the main coordinator, said that the students over at Maywood really loved it, and she was really grateful that the team took time out of their day to be able to come down and talk to the students. But yeah.
Yeah, so definitely we want to do more in-person visits, do like in-person class wraps, and one really cool thing that I remember is that there were instances where I would give class wraps in Spanish to some of the students at Maywood who, like, Spanish was their primary language. And then we had somebody on the team, Ibrahim Diarra, who speaks French, so he was speaking French to some of the people. So it was really cool to be able to do that.
And then this leads us from those are the, I guess, issues that I want to tackle. But now current projects. What are the projects that ASMHCC is currently undertaking, and do any of you have individual projects you're also undertaking to making this campus a better place?
Hello.
Good morning.
I can start. So a current project that I kind of have is I want to be able to connect with the high schools all over not only the Portland metro area but the state of Oregon, and kind of connect with the seniors that are actually going to be graduating and tell them a little bit about like some of the leadership opportunities that they can do while they're here, not only for like student government but join some of the other co-curriculars like advocate, athletics, and just kind of build that connection with them, because we're grateful to have the SOAR team, which is here on campus. They built the connection with high schools. I was a former member, and so being able to, my goal is I want to build that connection with the high schools and be able to kind of have more students not only join ASMHCC but also come to Mount Hood rather than all the other colleges, because Mount Hood's affordable but also has amazing opportunities that students can have while being close to home.
Yeah, me personally, so I had touched on this earlier in the interview, but definitely one of my personal goals is bringing music into the student union, like live music performances. That's one thing. And also getting accessible water to like parts of campus that need it for when the water outside is shut off. That's something else I've been working on. And then outside of that, I thought it would be a great idea to connect with other student leaders on campus. So last term, the MDRC, our team, and
Transition and Transiciones, we had like a large group training as well as a retreat where we not only got to know more about like the people on our team but also the other people and kind of built that connection.
yeah, so we did that as a collective for sure. But yeah, I was gonna say like last term, so our team, MDRC, and then somebody from the Career Planning and Counseling Center named Colette, we got together and we were able to host events to de-stress for finals. And then the Student Activities Board also hosted an event. So that was really awesome that we're able to do that. And I'm hoping that we can do that again this term and next term. Because I feel like it's important, like addressing like your mental well-being and make sure like that students are doing okay, and if they're not, what is it that we can do to support and maybe, you know, change that for the better. So that's another thing. And then like Emily and I, we have a joint goal, which is to support our team and to make sure that everybody feels like what they're doing while they're doing office hours is important, and that, you know, they're on task, and if they have any goals that they want to accomplish, that we're helping them accomplish those goals. And together we do weekly or bi-weekly check-ins. So like every other week we'll talk with members of the team just to see how they're doing, and ask if they need support, and do the best that we can. And if neither of us can support, then we direct them to Rosina, our advisor. She's really great about like overcoming challenges, coming up with solutions, thinking of ways to shine, really.
Are there any like reach goals that, or anything any of you want to just see on campus, whether it be really exorbitant and like probably won't happen, or stuff that's attainable? Is there anything both of you want to see on campus, or any goals, even if they're reach goals?
It'd be cool to have like emotional support animals on campus. Maybe even have like an actual Saint Bernard come through. If only for a moment. I think that'd be really cool. Were there any other goals that you were thinking of?
I would say, like, I know with our team we're working on food insecurity, and I definitely want to continue working on that goal, trying to get either like a food cart or maybe providing like some hot food options for students. Like, I want to keep continuing on working that. I know with like Vista Dining like not being open, we're still going to keep going, even if like there's obstacles in our way. We'll still make that happen.
And then this is your last years here at Mount Hood, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
So what are your plans for after Mount Hood?
So me personally, I'm already in the midst of my plans for next year. So I'm co-enrolled right now at Portland State. So next year I'll be fully immersed over there at Portland State. Based off of my experience here with student government, I'm thinking of joining student government over there as well. But yeah, that's where I'll be after I graduate in the spring.
And for me, I was recently admitted to Western Oregon University.
Woo.
So I'll be going there studying a degree in criminal justice and forensic science. And I plan on still continuing with the student government over there, as well as joining their criminal justice club. And I'm still going to be involved in some way or another.
Yeah. Oh, and that reminds me. So yeah, at Portland State, I'm going for a Bachelor's of Science in Biology with a minor in Neuroscience. And so hopefully, like, in 3 or 4 years, I'll be in medical school. Ideally, I would like to go to the Oregon Health and Science University, OHSU. But yeah, we'll see.
And then, as one thing that I like to end off my interviews with, the question is there a question that I didn't ask that I should have? Basically, anything else you want to make known.
One thing that we didn't touch on was recruitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Emily and I were on the team last school year, in the fall, and back then we had like about 8, maybe at most 9 members, but at this point we have like 14 or so?
I would say, yeah. I was talking about it with Rosina, and this is actually the first time in probably many years that we have a full ASMHCC team, and we're hoping that if we keep recruiting well enough, hopefully this year or maybe next year, we might have a full team of 22, which is really great.
Yeah, that's the goal for spring term for
Yeah.
sure. And like as we've been visiting Maywood and Bruning, hopefully those visits will inspire some students to join the team as representatives for those campuses. But yeah, that's one thing we're working on, and we're hoping to connect with like different departments on campus, different clubs on campus, just as many students as we can to gauge like if how interested they are in joining the team. You know, letting them know what we do and all the good things that come with being a part of the team. So yeah, definitely excited about like expanding and making sure that we're a solid team that's making a difference. You know.
Well, thank you both for sitting down and talking.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you, Kane.